The world is again shaken by a moment that, at first, seems so simple, almost meaningless in the eyes of ordinary people. But for those who follow every move of Jungkook and Jimin, this moment turns into something much bigger, deeper, and full of meaning that is difficult to explain with words. ARMY, the name for a loyal fan of BTS, was suddenly overwhelmed with anxiety. Not because of a scandal, not because of an open conflict, but because of a brief interaction that actually triggered thousands of wild speculations. It all started from a short video clip that circulated on social media. In the video, Jungkook is seen staring at Jimin with an unusual expression. That gaze was not just a blank stare, but full of emotion, as if hiding something that had not yet been expressed. Jimin, on the other hand, responded in a much more subtle way, but instead strengthened the mysterious aura that enveloped the moment. No words were spoken, but that's where his power lies. Silence that speaks louder than sound. Foreign media quickly caught this phenomenon. Several international entertainment portals began to discuss it, trying to decipher what really happened behind the interaction. They call it silent communication, a form of communication without words that can only be understood by those who have a strong emotional bond. And at this point, the public begins to wonder, is this just a coincidence? Or is there something deeper that has been hidden? ARMY around the world is divided into various theoretical camps. Some believe that that moment is a real proof of a true friendship that has been established over the years. They see it as a form of sincere concern, a way for Jungkook to make sure that Jimin is okay without having to say it directly. But on the other hand, there are also those who feel that the moment holds an invisible tension, a possibility that there is something they are facing together, but choose not to reveal it to the public. What makes this situation even hotter is how small details actually become material for large-scale analysis. The way Jungkook sighed before looking at Jimin. The way Jimin looked away for a moment, as if trying to hide something. Even the distance between them did not go unnoticed. All of that is dissected, analyzed, and debated endlessly. But behind all that speculation, there is one thing that cannot be denied. The bond between Jungkook and Jimin always has a different dimension. They are not just co-workers, not just fellow group members. They are two individuals who grew up together under the tremendous pressure of the industry, faced the world's spotlight from a young age, and survived through various difficult phases of life. On that journey, they build a connection that can't always be understood by outsiders. Some pop culture observers even said that this moment reflects emotional fatigue that is often experienced by K-pop idols. The pressure to always look perfect, to always smile in front of the camera, often makes real emotions hidden behind the scenes. And when a moment like this appears, at a glance, spontaneous, without a script, it becomes a small window that reveals their human side. In the midst of the frenzy of speculation, some ARMY chose to look at it from a simpler point of view. They believe that not everything should be overly analyzed. That maybe it was just a moment where two friends understood each other without the need for words. That maybe, behind all the theories that are circulating, the truth is much simpler and more sincere. But it is its simplicity that makes it so strong. Because in a world full of noise, where every word can be twisted and every action can be misinterpreted, a wordless moment like this becomes something rare, something real, something that is hard to fake. Foreign media may continue to discuss it. ARMY will probably continue to argue about the meaning. But for Jungkook and Jimin, maybe that moment was just a small part of the long journey they went through together. A brief second that, without them realizing it, succeeded in shaking the world. And that's where the deepest irony lies, that something so personal, so simple, can turn into a global phenomenon that makes millions of people feel connected, curious, and even anxious. A reminder that behind the glitter of the stage and the spotlight of the camera, they are still human, with feelings, with burdens, and with relationships that cannot always be explained. ARMY may never really know what happened behind that moment. But maybe they don't need to know, because sometimes the mystery is what makes everything feel more alive, more real, and harder to forget. But the story doesn't stop there. Precisely after the video clip spread widely, the wave of reaction that appeared became much bigger than the moment itself. In a matter of hours, Jungkook and Jimin's names again dominated the global trend, triggering a cross-country discussion that not only involved ARMY, but also the media, cultural observers, and the public who previously did not really follow BTS. Interestingly, some foreign media began to associate the moment with the dynamics of the long-term relationship between these two idols. They bring back old archives, pieces of interviews, behind-the-scenes footage, to small moments on stage that may have been missed. All of them are arranged like puzzle pieces, as if trying to find hidden patterns that have not been seen so far. And the more pieces are collected, the greater the curiosity that arises. Some reports even mention that the relationship between Jungkook and Jimin always has a unique emotional layer. Not just ordinary closeness, but a form of connection formed from intense shared experiences. Non-stop training, industrial pressure, to fragile moments that are rarely exposed to the public. In this narrative, the brief viral gaze is not a random event, but a reflection of a long, colorful journey. On the other hand, ARMY's reaction is getting more emotional. Many admitted that they felt feeling what happened, even though they only watched it through the screen. Some say that Jungkook's expression looks like someone who is holding something, whether it's worry, fatigue, or even guilt of unknown origin. Meanwhile, Jimin, with a more subtle gesture, is considered as trying to keep balance, as if he doesn't want to magnify something that is actually happening. But in the midst of all those interpretations, there are also voices that try to pull back the discussion in a more rational direction. They reminded that, as a public figure, Jungkook and Jimin's every move is always under the microscope. What looks big to the audience does not necessarily have the same meaning for those who experience it directly. In this context, the moment could be just a spontaneous interaction that was accidentally caught on camera in a too perfect angle. But that's where the power of this phenomenon lies, that it opens up such a wide space for interpretation. Everyone sees it in a different way, bringing their own experiences and feelings into the narrative that is being formed. And without realizing it, that small moment turns into a collective mirror, where millions of people project their emotions. Some psychologists who were interviewed by the international media even gave an interesting point of view. They say that humans are naturally attracted to emotional uncertainty, a situation where something feels important, but is not fully understandable. In the case of Jungkook and Jimin, the uncertainty is reinforced by the long history of their relationship, making every little detail feel like a clue to a bigger story. And in the midst of all that, one question still hangs in the air. Do they realize the impact of that moment? Did Jungkook and Jimin know that the brief gaze had triggered a wave of emotions around the world? Or, for them, it's just a part of a routine that they never thought was special? There is no definite answer. And maybe it will never exist. Because in the end, what makes this moment so strong is not what really happened, but what is felt by those who witnessed it. A combination of reality and interpretation, between facts and feelings, mixed into one in the entertainment world that is often filled with fabricated narratives. Moments like this feel different. He doesn't have a script, does not have an official explanation. And precisely because of that, it feels more real, closer to the human side that is often hidden behind the public image. ARMY will probably keep looking for answers. The media may continue to dig into the meaning behind every detail. But over time, this moment may turn into a part of history, a small fragment that once made the world pause, just to try to understand something that is basically simple. And maybe, somewhere behind all those highlights, Jungkook and Jimin will only remember it as one of the many moments they went through together. Without realizing that, for millions of people, it is something much greater, an emotional mystery that will never really be solved, but precisely because of that, will always be remembered.